Hi, welcome to week 4. It's research week. Here I am on the syllabus page as usual. Let's go down to week 4. I see that in our book, we're reading chapter 3, the job description, and we're doing some research. So let me click on that activity. And as usual, I don't say much here on Canvas. I mostly just put links over to our website, and then I have a box for you to put a URL in when you're done doing your research. So let's head over to the website, see what's going on over there. So research part A, key people. So nobody wants to be Vincent van Gogh, right? Successful after he's dead, super successful after he's dead, but miserable, unsuccessful during his lifetime. We would like to have a little bit of human, connection and pay rent while we're alive. So to do that, we got to get out there. So the key people depend on what we're looking for. If I'm looking for a gallery career, then key people might be a curator at the gallery, the owner of the gallery, the UCLA art history student who works at the front desk, etc. If it's an animation studio, advertising agency, graphic design shop, it might be an HR director, a creative director, an art director, of course, artists of all kinds. And how do we find people? We can do web searches. YouTube is also a good place to search. You can search LinkedIn, very valuable, even for gallery artists and more so for commercial artists. Hyperallergic is an arts news site that could be useful. Artsy is actually an arts sales site, but has lots of articles and info about artists. Instagram is great. And actually talking to human beings, getting out into the world, doing off-campus networking and finding people that way. From this, I'd like to find living artists, preferably in Southern California, and see if I can get them to meet up for coffee. I'm going to write a viewer profile of one of these artists. I'll talk more about that in a minute. And then I'm just going to make a page on my website and collect all this research info that I do. The other part that's part 4A, key people. 4B is websites in my field. Let's take a look at that. It's same idea. It's just find some websites. So if I'm an animator, find 5 animation portfolios. If I'm a tattoo artist, find 5 tattoo artist portfolios. UI, UX, whatever it might be. Go find 5 sample websites. Sites that you think are really good that could be useful in that way. If you find a site that you think completely sucks, or if you find a site that you think is decent but has maybe a few mistakes that make it confusing or harder to work through, you might actually want to list that as a reference that, oh, I saw that they had this problem. I should be sure that I don't make that mistake, that I avoid that issue. So even bad or not perfect work can still be informative, but mostly we're going to try to find sites that you think are impressive and that might be helpful. Again, you can search with LinkedIn and all kinds of other tools. Also, we have over here under portfolios, we have some external portfolios. So this is just a handful of a bunch of things. So if I'm looking for identity art, oopsie, Glenn doesn't have any identity artists listed. That sucks. But maybe I'll look for performance art instead. And okay, there are a few performance artists. So Amanda Kogan, Cynthia Segovia, etc. So some of them are more younger emerging artists, and then there are people like Marina Abramovic and Stellark who are, obviously gigantic. But also this list, just FYI, lists what platform people use. So Amanda Kogan's website is Weebly. Cynthia Segovia is WordPress.com. Marina Abramovic she doesn't use a CMS, content management system. It's a homegrown website. Nicole Hebron's HTML. I think that might have actually changed, but it was. Rhiannon is WordPress.com, and Stellark also has a custom website. This person uses 500px, Wix, Squarespace format, custom, etc. So you could look here for a few samples, and also here are some past Art 490 portfolios. You could look at some of these if you'd like. Here's a handful of different people. You can see what students have done. And then I'm just going to go search the world and see what I can find. So obviously I can use a search engine. Again, YouTube is itself a search engine. So whatever you're searching for, it's going to take multiple searches. If I just say identity artist, which is what I actually want, I'm going to find a piece on Frida Kahlo. Well, she's sort of relevant, but she's not alive, so she's not my key focus. And then a lot of the results that come up are going to be things like image as an artist. Well, I'm not trying to be Billie Eilish. I'm trying to find artists whose work is about identity. And whatever your career goal is, you're going to find similar issues. If you look for graphic design, you're going to find 5 graphic design tips, and it's going to find links to Fiverr where you can buy a logo for $5, and so a lot of the results are not going to be what you're looking for. Artist identity. So this isn't about identity art. This is about branding for an artist, which could be interesting, but is not what I'm actually looking for right now. Art and Identity, Catherine Wright. Now that could be an interesting talk. I might want to check that out. So I'm not going to find somebody on YouTube right now because I don't want to make you spend a lot of time watching me watch videos. But some of these, identity through the eyes of an artist, that could be interesting. So some of these could be relevant. Some of them are not relevant. I wouldn't, Picasso's a pretty interesting artist, but I wouldn't say an identity artist per se. So maybe I'll try artists exploring identity, and then I still get Frida Kahlo, but I get this building identity through art, Vice. Maybe take a look. Artists explore identity and representation. This looks pretty interesting. I might check that out. So it's going to take a dozen different searches, trying keywords to get past all of the marketing that often rises to the top and get to actual artists that I want to find. But DuckDuckGo, Google, Yahoo, Bing could be useful, and as we see here, YouTube maybe will get me somewhere. LinkedIn, another great place to look. Oops, I don't want that. I want to go search up here. Identity artist, Gabriel Ramon, Young Sin, Christine Keston. So these look kind of interesting. Maybe some of these artists, people, meta-modernist, mixed media, fusion of traditional and digital mediums, photography, AI integration, human cross-machine, symbiosis. Okay, so again, I won't make you sit and watch me explore all these people, but LinkedIn could be a place to find people. Graphic designer. And then I get a bunch of jobs, which is, I might want to look at those. Print designer, Walt Disney Company, that could be cool. But I actually want, of course, people. People is what I want. Okay, Olivia D., graphic designer in Los Angeles. Rachel Tran, graphic designer in Westminster. Megan Ng, multidisciplinary designer in Los Angeles. Mads L., graphic designer in LA. So here's a whole bunch of graphic designers. That was a little bit easier than identity art. But check these people out. What's their story? What's their portfolio? Maybe I can get in touch with this person. Even if I can't get in touch with them, I might be able to look at their portfolio. Contact info, LinkedIn. Let's check out the website. Multidisciplinary art designer. So looks pretty interesting. So again, LinkedIn, great resource. Hyperallergic is actually an arts news magazine. I can read about how Tim Waltz and J.D. Vance compare on the arts, but what I really want to do right now is search. So identity artist, and so I noticed that it's yellow highlighting, which is awesome, but it's actually highlighting just the word artist. So it's using these words separately. What if I put it in quotations? Will that look for that term? In this case, no. So on some search engines, when you put things in quotations, it'll only find the two words together, not individually. But in the case of hyperallergic, it doesn't seem to be that way. Oh well. What to do when your national flag doesn't represent you? That sounds interesting. Why we need a feminist manifesto of the blockchain? That sounds interesting. So, not all of these are quite what I'm looking for. And Andrea Serrano maybe is a little bit huge for me. I'd like something more mid-career or emerging, but some interesting results. I could check this artist out. And this looks pretty interesting. So I can they may have a link to this person's website. I don't think they do in this case, so I'm going to have to maybe look them up. Lucky me, the name is a little bit uncommon, I think, so I might be able to find them kind of easily. And this person may or may not have, there's obviously a bunch of reviews. There may not be a personal website, but I'll see what's out there and learn more, try to get in touch, etc. So Hyperallergic, another good way to be in touch. And then there's Artsy and Instagram, same idea. Artsy, I'm just going to go ahead and search. So this is going to be more fine art gallery types. So they're listing some really famous blue chip artists, right? So Kara Walker, Nan Goldin. I mean, these are amazing artists who I definitely can learn a lot by looking at their careers and their work. And, there's no harm in messaging them, because if they were willing to have coffee with me, that would be super awesome. But they're so famous that, that might be is not the most likely connection, which isn't really a reason not to say hi anyway, because it would be awesome if I could chat with Nan Goldin for 15-20 minutes. But among the people in this list, they're not all going to be super famous. Some of them are, but not all of them will be. So I might find somebody here. And many of these look interesting. So again, I have to spend some time and see who is doing work closest to what I'm interested in. Maybe I want to say performance art. Performance artist, performance art, and a whole bunch of people and a whole bunch of works come up. So Artsy is going to be more for fine art, gallery art types, but again, many different ways to find people. Instagram, and then just getting out into the world, going to galleries, museums, Adobe Max, animation festivals, TwitchCon, all those things. So I'm going to come to my website, and the first thing we'll notice is that I still haven't done anything. It's still got this architecture business, which is not my portfolio. It's just the stuff that came when I made the site. So one of these days, I'm going to design this homepage and design this menu, but research is going to keep me busy enough this week, so I'm not worried about that. It's still just going to be this generic stuff for a little while. The first draft of our website is due in week 10. So sometime in the next 6 weeks, I'm going to think about the menu and the homepage and all that stuff. Maybe before week 10 if I can, but I'm busy with research, so I'm not going to worry about that now. So last week, week 3, I did make new work, so I posted that page. And then, but week before that, week 2, I made this about page, which is eventually going to be my real about page, where I'll put some photos of myself, my work, my artist statement, and so on. But temporarily, I use it as more of a notes page, where I put my career goal, categories, elevator pitch, and so on. And again, in the weeks ahead, this is going to become my real about page. What's unique this week is I'm going to make a research page that isn't going to be on the menu, isn't going to be reachable. It's just a private notes page. You could make this research page private or unpublished or password protected if you wanted. I don't personally see the need for that. It's just going to be a page that technically someone could land on if they knew the URL. But since I'm not going to have any links to it, it's not going to be in the menu, nobody's going to get there. So I'm not going to say anything weird on the page. So I'm not going to worry about making it private. It's just going to be a public page, but a non-navigatable to page. So new post, going to call it research. This is some of the stuff I'm going to put here. So I want to do this key people thing. Well, let's call it that. Why don't I? So there are a few ways I could do this. One is I could just type. I could just make a list of just type people. I don't need to be fancy about it. So person number 1. Great. Another way I could do it is I could make a table. So I could go to some spreadsheet software. So here's Google Docs, for example, or Google Drive. So as far as I'm aware, both Google Drive and Microsoft OneDrive, you can embed the word that means take something. It could be like a spreadsheet like this, or it could be a YouTube video or a Vimeo video or different things. You could take stuff out on the web and embed it, place it, put it inside one of your own pages. So Google Drive and Microsoft OneDrive both will embed. As far as I know, iCloud numbers will not embed. You can only put a link to it, but you could do that. In the case of Google and Microsoft, or here Google, all I have to do is say File, Share, Publish to Web, and then I'm just going to say, I don't want a link, I want to embed, and then let me go ahead and publish that. And it's going to say, do we really want to do that? And I say, sure. And then it's okay, grab this code, paste this on the page on your website, and then we'll embed this table on your website. So I could do it that way, or I could just locally make a table. So table, and I think I will do maybe 8 columns and 11 rows. Create table, and maybe I'll call these name or person, their URL, their email, Instagram, So I checked out Nicole Hebron, and her work looks pretty good. So whatever her URL is, and whatever her email is, and whatever her Instagram is, I think in her case it's at Unicorn Killer, and I'm going to contact her today, which happens to be the 16th of September. And if I message her and I hear nothing, then I'll give myself 2 more boxes. I'm going to reach out a couple more times. And if I try 3 times and I never hear anything, then I might move on. But I'm going to give it 3 shots. And then I'll put the date that she finally says something, which so far is nothing. And then I'm just going to come over to my email program and say, your work or something like that. Go ahead and pop their email address in. Hi, McCall, I love your work. And then, obviously look at their work and then talk about what they've done. Gallery Tally is such a fantastic and necessary project. I'm fascinated by Feminist Summer Camp, and your recent feminist AI works are so powerful in this moment. I'm an identity and performance art student at Long Beach State. Can I buy you a cup of coffee sometime? I'd love to chat about your work and career anytime you have 15-20 minutes to spare, the time and location of your choice. Best regards, Glenn Zuckman. Maybe throw in some info. I'm not expecting her to look at my portfolio, but I'm going to go ahead and put it there in case she wants to. Send that off, and maybe I'll get a reply. So when I'm doing all my searching, again, dead artists could be interesting, but living artists are... Dead artists can't talk to you and help your career. So living artists are better. And while an artist could be in New York or Berlin or Shanghai, the best we could hope to do with them would be a Zoom meetup. But if they're in Southern California, you might actually be able to meet face to face, which would be super awesome. So, okay, so I'm gonna find 5 at least artists or relevant people. It doesn't have to all be artists. Could be a curator at a gallery, could be a creative director at an ad agency, could be an HR director at an animation studio. Different people who can help. And go ahead and make this list. And then I'm going to make another table just like this one for websites that I find that are interesting samples for me to look at. And then the one other thing that I want to do is this viewer profile thing that I mentioned. So let's pop over here, and I'm just going to copy the sample I wrote here so I don't take any more of your time. So here's one. Let's use that. So key people. Great. Okay, so let's take a look at what I've got here. Jennifer Smith, 35, art director at Creative Web in Santa Monica. Jennifer hires photographers and illustrators on a per-project basis. Her shop is known for its whimsical, edgy, contemporary design sense. Their clients include media companies like BuzzFeed, action sportswear companies like Nike, and fashion labels like Patagonia. Jennifer was born in Williamsburg, Brooklyn, and she studied marketing and design at Georgetown University in Washington, D.C. She moved to California 10 years ago and has been an art director at Creative Web for the past 5 years. She works a lot of hours during the week, loves to go to the water on the weekend, and is a competitive stand-up paddleboard racer. So the purpose of this viewer profile is find someone like Jennifer at Creative Web in Santa Monica, or a curator at an art gallery, or some person at an animation studio, again, or an art buyer at a children's book publisher. Again, whoever's relevant for you, find someone. So now as I'm putting my portfolio together, should it be white type on a black background? Should it be black type on a white background? Lots of different questions, large and small. If I'm a tattoo artist, it very likely will want to be white type on a black background because that might fit that genre best. So white type on a black background may be good for tattoo artists. Maybe not so good for children's book illustrator. That should probably be black type on a white background. Which images I choose to show, how I write about them, how I describe them, the words that I use, the fact that Jennifer's involved with Nike or Patagonia could be relevant. If she were the design director at Anthropologie, I would go hang out at Anthropologie for a while and think about what language speaks in an Anthropologie kind of sensibility. So all the choices for my portfolio ahead, again, in terms of images, how I write about them, how I design the site, everything, the fonts, you name it, I'm going to have Jennifer in mind. And it's always going to be, is this going to be something that Jennifer would be turned on by, that she'd find engaging, interesting? Or is this going to be confusing, off-putting, not really on brand for her? So a little bit about Jennifer, her company, or her art gallery, or again, whatever it might be. And then a little bit of personal info, where she went to school, the fact that she's a stand-up paddleboarder. Those things might help with an aesthetic sense, or if I ever meet up with her, they might help conversationally. So doing all those things, then I'm going to publish at long last. And now I have this page, demo.glenn.zuckman.com/research. I'm going to grab that URL and come back to Canvas, paste that URL in the URL box, and hit the submit button. Confetti, yay, research done. Let me know if you have questions. Good luck.